What's up, guys? Let's go over the best rogue build for Season 3 in Diablo 4 with the newer updates to the key pass and precision. It's no doubt that, with the exception of some crazy bug, the ranged rogue is going to outshine most of the rogue builds in the game. And that is because precision got a massive buff over here, making it so the newer effect grants you some stacks of precision, and then once you reach a certain amount, you get some bonuses. So it used to build up, and then you would get up to like an 20x multiplier over here. Now it's x50, so we more than doubled that already. And then on top of that, decided to push it even further, giving you increased damage by the amount equal to x15 of your crit strike damage bonus, which every Diablo build will get crit strike damage in terms of the build, so you're going to get even more damage with that. And there's more buffs, because they buffed Windforce, they buffed Sky Hunter, and they buffed Eagle Horn. The most important thing, though, really, at the end of the day, is Sky Hunter. I honestly feel like the Eagle Horn is more of a nerf. You're seeing me actually play with the older Eagle Horn, where it would actually have to, I think I had like a 70-something% chance to bounce. Now the bounce chance is every 4th cast, but it does guarantee vulnerability. I still think Sky Hunter is just going to outshine everything objectively. And so the Sky Hunter bow over here is going to have the crit strike damage affix increased by 100%, and it has it on its implicit. Normally bows have bonus damage to distance enemies, and it's not really like the greatest stat for an implicit. That's why everyone used to play with crossbows. But now that it has 100% increased crit strike damage, and on top of that it rolls on the implicit instead of like the bad value of like damage to distance, it's going to be superior for a lot of reasons. Plus, there's another bonus over here where the first direct damage you deal to an enemy is a guaranteed crit, which is kind of what it used to do anyways. But when you consume precision casting skill, it gains 30x crit strike damage, and you also gain energy, so you have extra resources. Well, these extra resources are going to be important because we're also including a brand new toy for Season 3, and that is the Beastfall Boots. This makes it so when you cast an ultimate, it's going to consume all of your energy, and then you're going to deal a huge amount of bonus damage per energy consumed, and if you use a cooldown, it restores 5 energy. Since we lost out on the Tibalt's bug build, well, we don't run combo points anymore, we run preparation. So every 100 energy we spend, which is going to be all of it at once, is going to reduce the ultimate's cooldown by 5 seconds. And when we use an ultimate, it's going to reset the cooldown of our other skills. So then we get to respam everything, building up all of our energy again, and then just expending in one mega payload with the Beastfall Boots. So it is kind of the core identity of this build. And again, you can swap a lot of skills. Just as a heads up though, you just saw me clear a Sigil 100 in Season 2. I wanted to go ahead and have this video ready for you guys. So just take everything with a grain of salt, as there might be some sort of bugs that people discover, and I'll update the build guide that you guys will have in the pinned comment. So for starters, let's go over the skills, and there's a lot of things that you can swap in and out depending on your playstyle. You can actually even have 7 skills active on this character, and I'll explain how that works. It's basically just Umbrus, and then you'll get basically your Dark Shrouds for free. So starting right off, what are these skills that we are using? So it's going to be a hybrid build. In most cases, Pen Shot and Rapid Fire have insane synergy, but if you want to run any of the marksman skills, because that's what is really good in this season, pick whatever you want. If you want to run Barrage, go for it, but basically we're using 2 of them, and you're going to be able to scale them both well pretty easily. So starting right off, we're running Shadow Step, Rapid Fire. So Rapid Fire, the reason why we run it is because on bosses, Pen Shot is just absolutely horrendous, and you don't need to actually get the Rapid Fire legendary aspect. You just want the Pen Shot one, because that's what's going to be able to clear things super fast. And then we are running Dash just for extra mobility, Shadow Clone just so we can gain a bunch of resources, because when we activate Ultimate, it's going to refill all the resource. We don't actually want to get the upgrades on Shadow Clone. The reason why is you have to path through to get Unstoppable, and that is a duration of Unstoppable, and we don't want that because we want to proc to Bolt's bonus damage, because in this season we don't have Abattoir of Z. We don't need to push to have an insane amount of armor, but if you want to, you could in theory have a little bit more Unstoppable if you want to put the points into the Shadow Clone. But basically you want to try to upkeep this, and you can upkeep this the whole time. If you want to, you can even play Flicker Step instead of these boots, but there's no reason why you wouldn't want to at least try the Beastfall Boots, and we'll see how good they actually are. But this seems like a very fun thing to mess around with, so I wanted to include it on the build. And then, so Pen Shot is just used as our primary source of DPS. I really do like Poison Imbuement with Rapid Fire since it got nerfed on Twisting Blades. Well, let's go ahead and just use it on Rapid Fire. It was always great, and it's awesome. So there's also another buff to Poison Imbue where it resets its own cooldown. And if you can consistently just do that, you're just going to get way more energy for free. So it's basically extra free resource, which is awesome. So pretty much rapid fire for bosses, this for just your normal stuff, spam your abilities, and you'll get a bunch of resources. And then for specialization, obviously preparation. So that's it for the skills. And what are the gear and equipment slots? So for the helmet, we're going to be, ideally, if you can get a Hollow Compress, that's great, but Mangler's Aspect is really great because it's going to cause a vulnerable, it's going to make it so if you hit a vulnerable enemy, it's going to have a chance to actually daze them. If they get dazed and get hit by a crit, it's going to knock them down in the passive tree, and that's going to make it so you can get additional crit. There's actually another buff with the additional crit. Instead of giving the bonus to the knockdown enemy, it's any enemy that you hit after knocking down a enemy. So it's really good. It still doesn't make Wind Force good, unfortunately, though. It's still, I believe, capped at 12%. If not, I'll update the build and you can run Wind Force instead of Sky Hunter. But the fact that it has 100% bonus crit implicit and basically it changed the implicit. You can see over here it says damage resistant. It just hasn't updated in the builder guide yet. But next up, as far as the Mangler's Aspect, this is really important. It is a utility, so keep that in mind. It needs to be actually on the helmet. You can't put this on like an offensive aspect. But ideally, max life, cooldown reduction, maximum energy. Maximum energy is actually very important in this build, as we're basically kind of a Necromancer. If you've ever played Necromancer, you know that you need to scale lots of essence to get bonus damage. It's the same thing with the Rogue now, with this newer build. So you definitely want to get that where you can. And if you can get a relatively defensive chest piece with maximum life, a bunch of resistances, that's great. Depends on, like, you know, what other roles that you have that have resistances. And then for our gloves over here, we actually want to run the Grasp of Shadows because it gives you ranks to all core skills, which include both Rapid Fire as well as Pen Shot, or if you're playing Barrage, that will also work. It's just great for that. Or if you want to run some regular gloves, that's fine, but then you have to roll Pen Shot and Rapid Fire and Crit and Attack Speed. And this one over here, it does have like an ability that's not bad, and it can roll those ranks of core skills go beyond the normal +4. So that's why it is arguably a pretty good item if you can get it. But it's not that big of a deal if you can't get it. They're not even that rare. Then Tibalt's just for extra resource, because remember, you're going to dip all of your resources, and then you can spam all of your abilities again. And there are a few different things that you can play. If you want to run Concealment, that's totally an option. I just wouldn't recommend Caltrops. I feel like it's bait even with the newer buffs. It's just too slow. The animation's just terrible on it. Then, of course, we're going to run Beastfall Boots. I'm praying that these roll with movement speed. We'll have to wait and see. But if there is an update, I'll update you guys with this. But this is going to give us a massive amount of awesome damage. Plus, it gives us a lot more resources. And if you want to run more defensive stats, you can run Disobedience with some sort of defensive pants with like dodge, damage reduction, dexterity, all that stuff is totally fine. Max life, because I don't like running Disobedience when the brand new thing Juggernaut exists. I'm putting this in like every single build. This is great because what it gives you is the ability to grant yourself just a bunch of armor. It makes your evade have 100% increased cooldown, but I would say overall it's worth it. On the amulet slot, if you can prioritize getting movement speed, cooldown reduction, those are all great stats. Some sort of damage reduction, and energy cost reduction is optional. And I say optional because you may actually want to spend more energy, because every 100 that you spend, and remember you're going to spend all of it in one hit, which is awesome, but at the same time you still want to have some energy. So there could be some point in terms of the end game where you may not actually need energy cost reduction here, but for the most part everyone's going to want it in the very beginning. And then for one of our rings, we're going to be running the Vengeful Aspect, so we're going to be getting that increased crit. And then on any single piece of gear that you can get, you want that crit strike chance as well as crit strike damage. It's very important to get those stats, as it's how we scale very good damage. Getting maximum life or any offensive stats, totally fine too on the ring. And then on our other ring, we're just running Edge Masters, basically the same thing. Getting maximum energy is also a really good stat. Lucky Hit's still an okay stat as well, just gives you extra resources. But I would say I could choose the ring, pretty much. This would be like your ring right here. Crit strike, chance, damage, max life, max energy is pretty much the go-to, but this is another great option to get Lucky Hit as well. And then on our weapons here, so I think it's going to be objectively the best in slot is Sky Hunter. Again, when you have that insane amount of increased bonus plus the extra energy that you're getting, and you can just keep on spending it, spamming your ultimate again and again, it's going to be great. Actually, what you're seeing is before like the combo points to Balt's Rogue, but it's as close as you can get realistically, because obviously at the time of recording this, the new changes aren't out. So it's the only way I'm going to be able to give you guys gameplay footage of kind of the same sort of playstyle and build. But as far as our other weapons over here, we're running the trick shot aspect. This is for pen shot, so it can do more damage. The things that you want to try to prioritize in your weapons, if you can get all stats, dexterity, as well as getting core skill damage, that's totally fine. But crit strike damage is the #1 priority. It's basically like Barbarian if you're playing with like the Blood Rage, you want Berserking on it. And it's so good already because you can get an insane amount of crit on a rogue. So basically the same thing on your weapons. If you're wondering daggers or swords, well, swords give you crit, and you want to scale as much crit as possible. All right, so next up we got the gems, so emeralds, rubies, skulls, or whatever you need. As far as this Seneschal construct, I added some slow. You can add chill as well. These are things that you can apply for crowd control, so it will work with one of our glyphs. But I would say if you're looking to play this build and you want to play non-season, hey, that's totally cool. I don't think that this is like required at all, but this is what I'm currently setting in stone right now. But this could change because someone will probably figure out some sort of OP thing, and there's still one stone that is unknown in terms of what it does. It hasn't been data mined yet, and no one knows. But Evernight is probably like one of the better choices in one of the stones here. It just gives you +4 when the skill is activated. All right, there are a bunch of different notes over here. This is still linked from my previous one, but there's still a bunch of notes that are really good over here if you guys want to learn how to get a bunch of different crit here to get over 100% crit. Yeah, some of them will require certain things that you're going to have a chance to get it after something happens in the game. So to get the consistent one, just look at where it says like 100% uptime. Now let's go over the skill tree now. At the very beginning, you can get the fundamental puncture, but you're not going to be running any basic skills because we're going to rely on the brand new boots as well as the build itself to actually not have to worry about resources. So it is a rapid fire pen shot, so we're doing these. But again, you can do whatever you want to do. I probably wouldn't recommend going barrage rapid fire. I would do barrage and then pen shot. Pen shot just has the best clear, like, in the entire game. Like, there's really nothing that comes even close to how good pen shot is. So I would choose either rapid fire or barrage. In addition to pen shot. So with pen shot, we are getting the improved one, so we get extra resources, but you can get the other one where after you evade, you get extra crit multi, but I'd say it's not that important because usually it's just used for bosses and you just want to sit there and you want to spam super hard. And then we are playing pen shot with the improved pen shot. There was an update that basically kind of flip-flopped, but it really doesn't matter though. And then over here we're running the shadow step, and then we get extra cooldown on it, and then we're just running dash. I don't like dashing through the targets. It's optional. It technically gives you crit, but at the end of the day, do you really want to play a ranged build and have to dash through everything and lose out on DPS? Overall, even though you may hit harder for numbers, the amount of time it takes for the dash to reg on every single target, it's just not worth it. So we don't even have Dark Shred on the build, but because we have the Umbrus aspect, we actually get it for free, and that's how we are able to run 7 skills in this build instead of 6. It just applies automatically, so you get some free extra damage reduction. And then this one's kind of optional. I just like the newer changes with poison abuse, so I went ahead and put it in the build. So what this allows you to do with the newer update, if it will like actually let me scroll in with my scroll wheel and zoom in. So what it does is makes it so it has a chance to reduce the cooldown of it, and my assumption is it just has poison imbued skills. So if I'm shooting rapid fire on every single tick, hoping that it registers like that, and I actually contemplated on getting combo points to see if it would work, we may actually try to mess around with this to get insane amount of cooldown. We can just keep on spamming it again and again, which will be interesting to test out. But if you want to run any of the other imbuements, Shadow is great for resources, but we're running the brand new boots and we're running Tobalt. I think we're going to be okay. And we actually scale Innervation and Second Wind to give us increased Lucky Hit, and this is going to give us Lucky Hit chance to shoot, gain energy. And a lot of times you can just refill your bar by just shooting into a big pack, especially with Pen Shot. Pen Shot just literally clears everything. So with Shadow Clone, like I mentioned before, you don't want the Unstoppable because you want Tobalt to give you that extra resource. So that's why I only put 1 point into it. I wish I could skip this one and just get the extra Shadow Clone damage because that thing is awesome. And then we're running Aftermath, so I remember how we're going to be using up all of our energy. So when we activate our ultimate, it's going to give us all the energy, then we can expend it instantly and then just rebuild it up again and again and again. It's going to be awesome. And then obviously because of the newer update, well, we have to be playing with precision over here because it's the best dang thing in the entire game for Rogue because they absolutely destroyed this. It used to give you X40 of the total amount of the crowd, and they cut it into a fourth. They destroyed it. So yeah, every rogue build's playing this. They also buffed momentum. If you are really lacking in defenses, this could be okay early on as well. But yeah, you definitely want to be running the precision. We already talked about that before. And now let's go over the Paragon board. And honestly, I'm just going to recommend you guys to probably just go to the website that will be pinned down below for the full thing, because it's kind of hard here. But Mobilix did update it, so it's kind of nicer here. So on the first board, we're getting Ranger. The second board, we're getting Combat, we're getting Pride, and then Exploit. And I add a bunch of the things on the Seneschal to actually give us extra like crowd control, so it can apply, because it's one of the ones that is instant. A lot of the other rogue stuff has to be applied and has to build up to it. I didn't really like that. I just want to like one-shot things and just keep on moving, right? But on the first board over here, if it would let me scroll up. Okay, so the first board is, of course, your starter board. You have no choice. And then the second board over here will be Exploit Weakness with Combat, and here's how it looks. And then, if it would let me, like, because I'm doing this in a short, like, window here, it, like, kind of doesn't really like it. So then we're running Cheap Shot, and we're running Pride over here, and we're going to actually pick that one up. Now, this one does technically need to ramp up a little bit, but Rapid Fire helps out with the bosses on that. And we actually go back, if it would let me go back over here. And the order can matter. It's really not that big of a deal with this build. You can get all stats up on your double weapons, and that can really help out meeting those like requirements for some of the yellow nodes. And then we get Cutting, Stratagem, and Exploit, just so we can apply vulnerability consistently, although your Seneschal can't actually do it. And then for the last one, we get Tricks of the Trade with Control, and we're just getting that extra bonus damage to elites. And there's extra crit strike damage here. If you can reach it, if you want to put this one earlier, it can be optional. I know it says 423 over here. If you want to put this one up earlier, you can, but there's actually other nodes over here that we can actually reach. It would let me scroll. I don't know why it's just not, it's misbehaving over here. But this one over here gives you a bunch of resistances, and for the most part, you want to be res capped, so I at least res cap. But you can flip-flop these ones, and then you can get extra crit strike damage if you need it. But there's no Abattoir of Zero or Gauntlet. That'll be something maybe for later that people may want to invest into. But there it is, guys. That's going to be one of the best rogue builds in the entire game for a ranged rogue build that's using the brand new Beastfall boots. And we'll definitely have some fun with it once it does come out. This is going to be more like my league starter once the season does come out in just a couple of hours. But if you guys have any questions, let me know down below, and I'll update you guys via the planner. So check that out. I may adjust certain like Seneschal skills as we find out some crazy exploits and bugs. Well, if it's there, we'll add it in. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new here, hit subscribe, turn the bell, and I'll update you guys with updated gameplay, obviously, when it comes out. I just want to have this ready for you guys so you can see what the build will actually do, and it's kind of as similar as I can really get it here, but it's going to be awesome. I'm super excited to play a ranged rogue, and it's definitely going to be one of the more awesome builds in this season. Anyways, take care. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.